morning, everyone. Thank you all for being with us for our VIP Listen and Learn event. Today, we have the privilege of listening to Mrs. Anne-Marie Stevens as she breaks down the following topics: the importance of seeing and feeling the core target audience, the importance of seeing and feeling the problem statement, testing and validation of your hypothesis, and weaving a powerful consumer-centric story. Anne-Marie and her husband, Ed, are the founders of Precise Portions, a nutrition learning system that supports easy-to-use, ideal portion sizing tools in healthy eating. Now, with a mission to fight obesity and other diet-related diseases, they are hoping to bring a new culturally sensitive platform to the nutrition marketplace, AskPortia. AskPortia is an interactive, customizable, on-demand nutrition coaching platform targeting millennials who are at risk for overweight and obesity without having to sacrifice their favorite foods, flavors, or fun. Accessible via desktop and mobile apps, AskPortia will use artificial intelligence to offer online coaching, menu and meal planning, healthy snacking recommendations, and much more. So at the top of the chat, I'm going to be posting a few links for the Innovation Center, as well as contact information for Mrs. Stevens. Our social media handle, website, and email will be posted there as well. Also, there will be a link to a post-event survey that we would like everyone to fill out at the conclusion of the presentation today. Lastly, please remember to mute your mics, and if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat and include your email address in case we run out of time to respond. We'll go ahead and reply by email. So without further ado, please welcome Anne-Marie Stevens.
Hi, everyone. Doesn't Mrs. Stevens sounds very formal and just so to do? I am Anne-Marie. Please call me Anne-Marie. And we're going to dive right in, but I also want it to be engaging. So I'll have some points where I'm going to ask you to give feedback. So you have to pay attention. No like breakfast at the webinar thing going on, okay? So with that, let me get started. Whoa, that's not it. Are you seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Great. That was the first test. Okay, so as just like, why would I want to do consumer-centered product development? Well, I am a consumer product development engineer. I spent 15 years at Procter & Gamble doing just this kind of work. And as you know, when we use the word product, it could also mean a service or a technology or a platform. So the word product is a generic kind of, ambiguous kind of name. But consumer-centered is where you create your differentiation. And as Stephanie said, today we're going to focus a little bit on core target audiences, problem statement, and see and feel. What does that mean? It means the emotional part of it. So a lot of times we try to be very like Mrs. Stevens, it's very proper and it's very correct and all of that. And I want Anne-Marie, I want a high five, I want a hug, I want to feel the connection with people. And so similarly, when you think about your core target, you want to communicate your connection with your audience to the people who are reading or listening to your pitch. The same is true for the problem statement. And so as I'm talking, the thing I would like you to start to do is to think about your venture and begin to think, okay, can I release, when I speak about it, do I think the audience can really see it? Can they feel it? Can they see it? So just, think about the emotion, the emotional part of that. Another way to think about that is, like there's a two-dimensional kind of painting, right? Like if you did a puzzle, it's a two-dimensional thing. It's a board with pieces and it's just two dimensions. When we really build a really consumer-centric and centered kind of problem statement and our solution and our consumer-centric story, it has contours. You can begin to see and really understand. And so while we don't really advocate, profiling or stereotyping, in this context, we should be able to go to a mall and kind of say, yep, that person is Joe's customer. That person is not Jane's customer. I mean, I don't like it, but really, in essence, that's what you want your marketing to begin to do for you. And then we'll talk a little bit about testing and validating your concept. So this is your job one, right? So just stop the presses, stop everything, and think about this. Your job number one is to understand what is their why. And the their underlined here is that core target. Now, sometimes like for us, right? Precise portions, I think most of you know we're working on a Porsche concept. And yeah, we want to take over the world. Like that is what we want to do. But we're not going to do that without really focusing on who is the core target. Why would they even care about Porsche or care about precise portions? Why would they care? What is in their interest? What is their motivating why? And so unless you can answer this question, no one is interested in your solution. We're just not ready for it. It's not that it isn't great. It might be great, but we're just not, we're not thinking about it. So your job number one, what is their why? Okay, what is motivating them to adopt your solution? And then I want urgency. Why would they want to do that today? Why would they want to do it right now? So that's a kind of more penetrating question around their why. Now, some of you may have heard the language around the 5 whys. This is kind of like that, the 5 whys, and you're trying to get to like the 5th why, right? And so it's the 5th why is when you're going to be able to say, here's why they would want to adopt my solution or a solution like mine today, right now, ASAP, immediately. Okay, that's your job. If you aren't there yet, you just have to keep going back until you get there. But you cannot proceed to job 2 without doing job 1. That's the only criteria. And oh, by the way, this is not easy work. Okay, this is hard work. So when I use the language, and hopefully we begin to use the language of see and feel the core target, it's like, what makes it urgent? What is the thing? What's the one thing or the 2 or the 3 that makes it urgent for them to adopt your solution? Can you feel their pain? If somebody says, I cannot work out, my knees hurt. I cannot work out, my knees hurt. Okay, you're beginning to see knees. You might even begin to see that the joints are swollen. You might see that they have trouble walking. Therefore, they cannot do hops and skips and jump rope. I mean, and so that's when we talk about feeling their pain. That's the kind of context. Those are the contours that you want to begin to integrate into the story. I don't want to say you want to romance the pain or romance the story, but it's the storytelling part of it. And sometimes that language is what's used. Unfortunately, when there's real pain, it's hard to say romance anything. But romance is just another way to say, help me feel it, make it come to life, add that third dimension. Sometimes people talk about it's pain or it's pleasure. And so if it's pleasure, help me see the need, help me see the opportunity, as opposed to, well, I think the market needs another car. It's like, why does the market need another car? Why on earth does the market need another car? Now, if you tell me it's like, it helps the climate, and it's, the most efficient electric battery, and it's, and you begin to build that kind of solution, then it's like, oh, okay, maybe, but you haven't told me on why I want it now. If you tell me, oh, it's a self-driving car and it looks more like a motorcycle, or I don't know, I'm making this stuff up, but I just want you to begin to see why. You've got to understand, what would it take for me to take action now? You've got to sell me on, it's more than just, it's a cool car, it comes in purple and yellow and it makes you feel good. You got to give me some reasons that connect with me. Now, if I don't care about the climate, that's not going to connect with me. if I don't care about purple, that is certainly not going to connect with me. I saw an ad recently. It's for a car. It's called the Lucid. It's an electric car and it's like $69,000. Well, guess what? I was kind of interested until I saw that price. And then suddenly it's like, there is no way. I have no urgency. I'm not paying $69,000 for a car. So that's the importance of really understanding, can you feel their pain? Can you see the need? And then can you describe it with visual, emotional language? And I was in a webinar recently with a group doing some work with Virginia Beach Small Business Association. And they were like, they coined this phrase, which I thought was so powerful. It's create a why to make you cry. And that is an excellent litmus test, because I can tell you, we'll talk about Porsche in a minute. We're not there yet. We are not there yet. It's a really awesome filter for you to know, are you there yet? Have you gotten to that fifth why that makes you cry? It's likely not going to be the first one. It's not going to be the second one. It is likely going to be the fifth why, which helps you get to the why that makes you cry. Okay, so I want to show you a quick clip. I want you, as you look at the clip, to begin to think about this customer. This is not a customer. We're in customer discovery mode. And I want you, after the clip I'm about to show, to tell me and tell us and share with the team, what would be her why to make you cry, okay? So now let's see if I can stop share. And then I need to share again and find that video. And I hope I got that sound. Let me try that again, guys. Sorry. This is part of my learning curve. Yep, it's highlighted. Okay, there it is. Okay, share. Would probably get that all wrong. So thanks for making time to talk to us today. So we're interested in developing a healthy lifestyle program and really want to pick your brain. We want to learn from you what's worked, what hasn't worked. How would you suggest we think about this? Okay. So whatever you think is what's right. Just tell me whatever you think, right? So let's start with healthy eating. What does that mean to you?
Healthy eating would be eating for nutrition.
And what does that mean to you?
That means eating a balanced diet with the correct amount of calories, protein, nutrients, vitamins.
Anything else?
No.
Not right now? Okay. And how about healthy weight? What does that mean to you?
I guess that means being at a weight that is proportionate for your height. And does not cause any adverse effects to your body system.
And is that something that's important to you?
Yes.
Yes, you like really perked up. Yes. So now you have to tell us what that means. Yes, I want to know.
I have struggled with my weight my entire life.
Wow. And when you say struggled, what do you mean when you say struggled?
Meaning I'm constantly losing weight. Like I'm constantly on a diet. I tend to lose and gain. I have 2 autoimmune disorders. So my medication sometimes causes me to gain weight or lose weight. So sometimes my mobility is affected. So it really does affect my ability to even cook or exercise.
Wow. Yeah.
I have rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh, okay. Wow. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. So I am trying to make a permanent change where in a few months I will be having gastric sleeve surgery.
Oh, wow. So that must have been a big decision, right?
It was a massive decision for me because I tried so hard to do it on my own,
Yeah.
and it just never seemed to, you know, I didn't have a lot of consistency in it. And I have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and my motivation is totally different.
I want to clarify that. You're saying your motivation since you've had the kids is different versus before kids?
Yes.
Oh, so tell me about that. Before kids, what would you say your motivation was?
I think my motivation was more so geared towards the visual.
Ah, that sounds like a magic word. What does that mean?
I was more interested in looking better than actually being healthy.
I see. So that was before the kids, and after the kids, then what?
Is more so became about being healthy, longevity, being able to
I
keep up
see.
with them.
To keep up with them, because they will keep you young and moving, won't they?
Oh
Yes, yes, yes. I get that. Wow. So how did you come around that change in motivation? Is it something that just happened one day, or it happened over time, or somebody told you, or how did you transition, being motivated differently?
yeah. I guess it was just after I had my son.
Is your
He
son
was
the first or the second?
My son is the youngest.
Youngest, okay.
Um, he was born 2.5 months early,
Oh,
and he had to stay in the NICU for 2.5 months.
oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that
Oh,
was really challenging and stressful for me.
yeah, yeah,
I ended up, I was breastfeeding him, so that made me lose weight. And then, of course, I
yeah,
lost the pregnancy weight after I had him. And
right.
then the stress of going through that, um, I don't know. It's like after he got out of the hospital and I got him to a point where he was stable, it's like my body just crashed.
Wow,
And I I couldn't I had to have help taking care of my kids.
wow,
Um, I was bedridden for like 3 months
wow.
and I lost probably 60 pounds.
Oh my gosh. So you were
And
not eating.
everyone
You weren't
I
eating.
was no.
Uh-huh.
And everyone was telling me how good I looked and I was the sickest, you
Oh
know.
my God. That is like, and it's just okay. So I'm going to stop there. And then we'll get back to the PowerPoint. And remember, I asked you a question. Um, and yeah, I always kind of find that super emotional listening to Kesey talk about that. So I would like for you all to, whoever, just jump in. How would you describe her why to make you cry? Anyone?
Hi, this is Brandon Brown. I just believe that she, had an image in her head of what weight and size she wanted to be, and I believe that
Yeah.
had probably having that weight and size before she had children, um, and then trying to fight to get back to that weight and size is a very common thing, and it's a very difficult journey. I think in addition to that, her health conditions, added
Yeah.
additional challenges to an already tough road. And I believe that she just kind of felt the need or she kind of felt the burden and wanted to give up, but, still wanted to meet her goal. So, very tough why.
Yeah, yeah, that is a tough why. Yeah. Whew. Others, what do you guys think?
Hi, this is Sarah Kaya Morton.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
hi.
turn my video on. I think she had so many wives. I mean, like in addition to what the gentleman just said, there was, her decision to have surgery. She's made, I mean,
Yeah,
I think her last line about people kept telling her she looked so good, but she was the sickest she'd ever been in her life. I think that was so
yeah, yeah,
her kids, her health, her weight. I mean,
yeah,
there were so many
yeah,
whys, but I just think that statement was so impactful at the end.
yeah, it really was. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just, woo. Others, yeah. What do you guys think? Okay, so I'm gonna keep going on. And so when we talk about um, the problem, right? As you all just pointed out, Kesey had multiple whys. We could probably only work on one or two of them. We probably can't work on all of them. And so our job is to figure out which is the most, which has the kind of broadest appeal for us to help build a business around it, right? So she may have said something that was very painful to her, but when we do our research, it might be that it's affecting, I don't know, 2% of the population. That's hard. You could build a business, but if you want to, like, our goal is like take over the world. It's hard to build it on 2%. So so in fact, the importance of talking to customers and understanding kind of the range of pain. So when somebody says to you, have you done customer discovery research? You have actually got to go out and find out, okay, what are like the range of pain? What's the range of their state? And when you begin to talk about the why, and the why to make you cry, which is another way of saying what is the problem statement, then you can see, did I get there? Is it emotional? I mean, you could see how emotional it could be. And sometimes we just stay in the two dimensions and we completely cut off that z-axis, that third axis, to make it come to life. And that's what I really wanted to share with you. So here's Portia. I can't tell you how much work, I mean, between um, um, Akosia and Dr. Alexander and Jim Franklin and like the whole team, our whole cohort, everybody worked on this. And if you read it compared to what I just told you, you'll see like we still have tons of work to do, right? So we have Kesey, and so further background, right? When we did this work, we had done 500 qualitative surveys, we had done 16 one-on-one interviews, and we had actually done an MVP survey questionnaire. So we're not guessing at this. Everything here is factually correct. But if you read it after listening to Kesey, you'll see that we missed that z-axis, we missed the emotion. So we flagged the problem as the nutrition crisis. And we said accurately, by the way, multicultural millennials are predisposed to obesity and overweight due to their love of traditionally starchy comfort foods. And then our big surprise out of the research what pertained to snacking. Here we have our stats. And again, everything here is factually correct. But I hope now, after listening to Kesey and seeing what we've written, you could see that we probably could have done better in terms of making our problem statement connect at an emotional level, right? So please give me your feedback, right? How did we do? What do you all think, right? If I tell you we need to see and feel the problem statement, do you feel urgency? Are you seeing pain? Is it visual enough? Do you think we got at the why to make you cry? Okay, so who wants to jump in? Trust me, we are thick-skinned, and there's nothing you're going to tell me that's going to hurt my feelings. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. All right, who wants to go?
I'll go.
Yeah.
I that interview was very interesting because she mentioned something about motivation.
Yeah.
At two different stages of her life,
Yeah.
where at the first stage, I think it's important to know if your motivation is enough and to get you to do or meet your goals. There's a
Yeah.
place where there's a desire and a wish, you
Yeah.
know? So I think the first stage of her life, it's like you get really distracted with every other noise and what the world is putting out and stuff. But that motivation where she didn't, it was more like a wish, you know, I want to look good. But
Yeah.
then she got to her second stage where it, to me, it sounded more like a desire, right? A
Right. Right.
desire to actually make a difference beyond I want to look good and beyond,
Right.
you know, external factors. So
Right.
I think that the figuring that out and kind of putting that in the problem statement could be very key is how do people get to the place where it's not just a wish but it's a desire, and if it's a
Yeah.
wish, you know that it's a wish, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
you're
Right.
not emotionally affected by it.
Right.
So
Right. And if I could build on what you're saying, she gave us two motivations, which, by the way, could be two different businesses. So, motivation one is I really wanted to just look good. I was more focused on looking good. And then after kids, it was I want to be around for my kids. I want to be active with my kids. I want to. So, those drivers, her whys pre children, was really, really different than the why post children. And then you can hear her pain when she's like, I am like as sick as a dog right now. And here's everybody telling me I look great. And think about that. That used to matter to her, pre-children, but post-children, she was like, I couldn't believe. I mean, it was like, it was just a fantastic dichotomy of the need for us to understand who is our segment, because it's the same person, same name, multicultural millennial, age 30 to 40. I mean, it's the same person. But this big life factor called I had children happened. And her motivation pre is one business with one benefit statement, with one solution statement. And then post children, same person, right? Different why, different benefit statement, different positioning, and so when somebody says, wait a minute, who is your core target? I could say Kisi, but think about that. The person pre-children is not going to be happy with my looking good solution post-children, because post-children, that is no longer a driver for her. So it's important, like I said, these are two valid businesses. And so which segment are you going after? Are you going after the Kisi pre-children? Their driver is looking good. The segment after children, their driver is, I want to be active and here and available for my children. I want to cook for my children. And so that's the way we need to kind of listen to that motivation and the driver and their whys. Other comments? Okay, well, who's been writing about
Um,
their problem? Okay, go ahead.
I have a
You're just
question.
giving the group time. I'll take your question, but you're giving the group time to like come up with who wants to share their business, their problem statement, and then hopefully they're tough enough for us to like go at it. Okay, so please, I need 2 or 3 brave souls to jump in. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, good morning, Miss Anne Marie. Thank you so much for your time. I've seen a lot of your presentations, so I
Thank
actually
you.
do value what you have to share. Jim even shared your pitch deck with me to use to follow to
Oh,
build
wow. Well, that's a big
my,
compliment.
yes, I had to
Just don't
share.
copy my mistakes, is all I ask. Don't copy my
Oh
mistakes.
no, that's why I'm here.
All
Um,
right.
so I have a product that I'm trying to develop, right?
Yeah.
I've done the lean startup and even have gone as far as doing interviews.
Yeah.
But one of the I stopped with the interviews because I kind of ran into a brick wall. So my thing is that I feel like I've lost my niche, and I'm trying to, I know what I have to offer. I know what I'm trying to give. I know what I'm trying to create. I know it's going to work from the response that I've gotten from interviews. But I ran into a brick wall with my niche because I do have competitors. So I'm kind of in a weird space. So I don't, it's like, what do I do to get back to my angle when I pitch with the niche that I have to offer?
So yeah, I think the biggest thing, okay, this is gonna sound really hard, and you'll say I don't know how to do that, but it is hard, isn't it? Yeah, but it's kind of exciting hard. Um, I would go back to talking to users again, and I would start with those competitive products and really understand where are they failing, because their failure point is where you might insert yourself. So one of the things that we have been discovering, for instance, is that if on average people are falling off of the keto diet, let's say 2 months in, or whatever diet they're on, 2 months after on average, right? About 2 months. It could be that our solution is positioned as, hey, keto failed you, so our insertion point is not to compete with keto directly, let's say, but to be there like the safety net once they realize that that's not the right solution for them. So understanding the failure points is a really important opportunity to understand where you might insert yourself. And I can tell you that that sometimes when we start with the solution, we may not insert ourselves at the right place. So our case study on that is, many of you know, we started life as Precise Portions, which is a lot of like portion sizing tools to help as a visual aid. I mean, look, we have science that backs this is a good solution, clinical trial data, etc. So we're not, again, guessing, right? But in hindsight, I could tell you that's probably not where we needed to first insert ourselves. We need that solution, but we inserted ourselves at a place where if people believe that veggies taste horrible, they're bland, they're boring, if people believe healthy eating is too expensive, if people believe that healthy eating takes too much time, it really doesn't matter that I have this fantastic portion sizing tool that's actually proven to work, because I can't even get them to try it because they have these beliefs. And so that's what I mean around where do you insert yourself. So the question is less about the solution that you have, but more about where in the consumer psychology or their belief system or their profile, their psychographic profile, that creates kind of the weak link or the weak point. Where are they failing? Where are the existing products failing? Sometimes it's something like silly, like I don't like that color. Sometimes it could be, I just want fun colors, or it could be, I just want my colors, and so maybe the opportunity is a custom product. But there are ways to solve it, but it starts first with really understanding where the weak points of those competitive products you're worried about. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. That does.
Okay, so back to
It's
research,
just,
right? Yeah.
I understand it. Yeah, back to research. It's just that, and I know that it's just been challenging because it's high tech. What I'm trying to do is high tech, so it's hard to research. I can look somebody up, right? But then, are they real when I look them up? I run into that. Like,
Yeah.
Are they a real company, or are they doing what I'm trying to do? Push their product that they have, that they created. So
Yeah. Start with the their why, and less about the product. I mean, you might know that that product is positioned a certain way, but start with it's like talking to Casey, right? Before I spoke to Casey, we hadn't differentiated life pre-child and post-child. We
right.
we thought that people who had recently delivered would, just naturally have extra post-pregnancy weight that they would want to lose, but we didn't understand that underlying motivation. We didn't understand and value that. So we understood it on a kind of topical level, and the research really helped us go a little bit deeper.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so I want someone to share their problem statement so we can, I'm not the only bruised one on the team. Who wants to go?
Hey, Anne, I have a question from someone, from Jackie Thomas.
Okay.
Her question is, did you utilize design thinking in any way to come to your innovation?
I would say yes, but we didn't start there. We started with the problem. You know what I mean? I mean, we started with what's the problem, and what's the long-term impact? Koshia had asked us a really great question, which was 10 years from now, what do we think our company is going to look like? And we couldn't answer the question. And so we had to go figure out how to answer that question. And so I think it's really important just to start with the listening, and then the design comes after. Actually, you know what? It just starts to fall out is what I'm finding.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
The design thinking process does take you through kind of problem statement. I think it's the prototype and iteration part that I was kind of wondering. Did you?
Yeah, we haven't even prototyped yet, really.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought I understood you. Yeah, we haven't mocked up. I mean, we have some, we have some screenshots, and we have a potential workflow, but in terms of actually here is the app, go to this place and it will do 10,000 things. We haven't even done it yet. And all I can tell you is I'm kind of happy that we haven't done it yet, because I feel that we're going to end up with something that is more differentiated, that's more emotionally connecting, so that there is a more sustainable hook with users. So I just feel like it's been painful. Trust me, I thought for sure we'd be funded by now, but we weren't. But I definitely feel that we're going to end up with something that's more proprietary, more effective, more sustainable, and as a result, more successful. I mean, I just feel that.
To add on to that real quick, Jackie, I took them through design thinking without teaching them that it's design thinking. So
without
teaching design thinking, yeah.
I was just thinking because the iteration part and some of the user kind of feedback would help design the iterations honestly getting a hold of the audience and really getting that feedback, because with the millennial, you need the target audience to at least represent the sector that they're kind of trying to.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie, I think Khadijah has a question.
Okay, and then after that, I'm just going to say I would like one problem statement that we can try to add value, and then we'll move on, because I know I'm going to keep talking and we'll run out of time. So go ahead.
Hello, this is Brandon. This is Khadijah's husband. This is her Zoom. I'm stealing for the day.
Sure.
So just had a quick question. So I guess I can give you the problem statement of sorts that I wanted to utilize or use to build the company that I've already started an LLC for. It's called Major Homes. And
Major Homes, okay.
And what I would like to do is to create living and learning environments off campus for students. So if you can imagine for students that are in the psychology field / sociology field, and when I'm vetting the students for these different houses, we have one, psychology sociology house that has 4 bedrooms, and we only allow psychology sociology students in this sort of this house dormitory environment. And so the reason to do that is so that they can assist each other when going through and encourage each other and empower each other as they're going through their studies, to be in a living community with people that are of their same major, that probably have their same types of experiences within the school system or within the university. and also to provide, mentorship and guidance to them through regular weekly meetings at the house, and through having the infrastructure set up for their retention. And it's aimed at HBCUs due to the low retention rate. And some HBCUs relative to comparable PWIs. So basically trying to increase the graduation rates, retention rates, and increase the grade point averages of the students who stay in these homes. So of course you'd have a STEM house where you have, the maths and the science to stay there. You would have, the liberal arts house, maybe political science. So you get the idea. And the problem is to address the lower retention rates among some of the HBCUs.
Right. And then who would you sell this to? I know it sounds obvious, but please bear with me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would probably sell it to the students' parents. I'd be probably selling the idea to the parents of the student, because I don't think not all students have an understanding of the significance of, graduating, or seeing it through to seeing it through to the end. And some of them don't have the money in there that they're paying towards their education, so they don't really feel that burden or that pressure.
Right. Okay. And have you spoken to the parents?
As a student, I have. As a former student, I was student government president. So I've had a lot of interaction with parents during open houses and things, but not in relation to this specific idea, not yet.
Yeah. So I would encourage you to do that. The question is, there's not anyone that's going to disagree with like the mission of what you're trying to accomplish, right? It makes sense. Yes. It looks like we need help, etc. What I don't know, and I would want to see data on, is, one of the powers of Montessori learning is actually more cross-functional thinking, as opposed to like, kind of like you were saying, like the STEM house, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd want to see like a compare and contrast with my student, who I just gave 50 grand to go to college for the first year, are they going to be better off, right? Are they going to be better off hanging out with multidisciplinary class that's supportive, that does everything you want to talk about, which then speaks to the attitudinal segmentation of the students in the house, versus that they're all having the same interests. So that's like my first little I'm not sure how I feel about that.
That's a great point.
Which is why I think you have to go talk to parents. You have to go to the high schools and, or to the, the career guidance counselors, and begin to talk to them about this concept. And again, no one is going to say, wow, that's a lousy idea. They're all going to say that's a great idea. But again, we want beyond the two-dimensional, that's a great idea. What you want is that emotional, the contours, to really make it a powerful idea.
Okay. Yep.
You know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
Also what they will do is they'll tell you, like I said, okay, here's my first red flag. I think multidisciplinary might be stronger. And then it's up to you to actually kind of address that or not address that. And then you begin to look for patterns. So if you talk to a few people and 10 of them out of 20 say, I'm not sure about this composition of the student body, then okay, that's a red flag. Maybe my idea is sound, but I need to just edit it and refine it this way.
Okay, Roger, I appreciate that. Very good.
Sure thing. All right. Okay, guys, I know I'm gonna get kicked off shortly, so let me try to dash through this. Okay, yeah, you all critiqued me. Here is our solution. And we said Porsche is an AI-powered nutrition platform delivering the best personalized nutrition guidance to help make smarter eating decisions without sacrificing flavor or fun. So in the interest of time, I was going to ask you all, did we add any emotional context to this solution statement? Did we connect? Let's say I would go back to Casey, or to this statement, right? I'm sorry, that's wrong. That's where I think we need to head. But why would it make you cry? What's the why that makes you cry? And then you can see that when we talk about the solution, we're not really getting to, let's say, I mean, in this presentation, I'm assuming, I'm having you assume that Kisi is representative of a large proportion of our respondents, but that may or may not be true. But let's say it was, you could see that this solution statement, if I presented this to Kisi, it would not connect with her at all. You know, what she wants to know is Porsche is going to help you get the energy and help you feel alive, and you can play with your kids. And her benefit is about those kids. Her benefit is like confidence, that she has energy and she wants to be alive for her kids. I mean, she wants to be alive. That's how we try to hybrid this and make it more powerful and more impactful. And when we start thinking about people being alive for their kids, I mean, stop and think about that for a minute. I mean, you talk about a why to make you cry. That's something that could make you cry. And it's something we take for granted, but in the worst case scenarios, you have people really worried about that. I want to be around for my kids. I want to see them succeed. I want to raise my kids. She even talked about, I had to get help with my kids, you know, and I don't know if you could hear the pain in her voice when she said that. I had to get help with my kids. That was not a proud moment in her life. So that's the way we need to listen when we're building these out. So again, is this correct? Yes. I mean, academically, scientifically, it's all correct. Emotionally, not yet. We're not there yet. So, and that emotional work and getting it so it's not patronizing, it's not offensive to some, it's like, you know, that balance is just very hard. But that when you can do it, and when you do it, and when you do it with confidence, that is the powerful consumer-centric story that you're trying to tell. So a lot of times people talk about storytelling, but we don't get the why or the how. It's just like, tell a better story, but we don't know how to do that. And hopefully this helps you figure out a way and a path to doing it, okay? And standing out from your competitors as well. This I threw in, we have so much work, but here is a stat, right? So people who are obese are up to 80 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes, by the way, is like, I mean, it just eats away at your life, you know? So when you talk about, I want to be around for my kids, if you're fighting diabetes, it makes it really hard. So this is work in progress. You can ignore it, but just so you know, we are kind of evolving. Okay. That's your first job, and that's a hard job, and that is not something you could do the night before a class, okay? That's like a lot of work, and you got to take it seriously, you got to commit to it, you got to just do it. The second thing is validate your hypothesis. Okay, so starting right now, if you get anything out of this, I want you to get two things. One, create a why that makes you cry. Two, stop being in love with your solution. I could have put your product there. So it's your product or your service or your platform or your whatever you're working on. Stop loving it, because we're not even going to get to loving it until you go through all of the work we just talked about, until you understand what are the weak points of your competitive set, until you understand and validate your hypothesis. It just doesn't matter. So if you start with your solution, you've jumped over a lot of steps, you've jumped over a lot of assumptions, and you know, it's hit or miss then. You could be right, you could be wrong. It's better to just do the work and be right. And so you're going to be testing, and then you're going to do more testing. Okay. So not everyone knows what a hypothesis is, right? In the broad world at large, it's a guess. For those of us who are scientists, guessing is not something we do. We don't like guessing. As an entrepreneur, you're always guessing. So that's like a big transition. If you come out of, you know, a big R&D company, or if you come out of, you know, a science-based academic kind of career, guessing is like, oh my gosh, why are we guessing? Let's get the data. But as an entrepreneur, just get used to it, you're guessing. The good news is we're not saying you're going to build a business on a guess. We're going to say start with a guess and then go test it and validate it, get the data. So you've got to get the data. This is a big point I wanted to make beyond family and friends. We love our family and friends. We love them. They love us, and it makes the world go around. So this is not to denigrate family and friends at all. We need them. But when we're building a business, I mean, there are a ton of people who started restaurants because their family and friends said, oh my God, this is so good. You should just go, why don't you open a restaurant? And they tell you that 10 times and then finally you're like, yeah, this is really good. I think I'm going to open a restaurant. That's not data, people. That's just love. That's just love. So you got to now say, I wonder if they're right. And then you have to go like prove that, meaning you've got to go find, stand outside of restaurants and say, hey, you were in there for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. What did you like about that? What did you not like? You got to do your legwork. And a lot of times we end up starting businesses based on family and friends, and we don't want to do that. Okay, we don't want to do that. So I have here, remember your teen days. I showed this to Ed and he was like, what the heck does that mean? But it's the headline is start testing through experiments. And for many of us who had, teen days or teen years, and we were all like working to attract the other sex, the other gender. And we were testing, we would test, whether this shade of makeup or this kind of pants or this fit or this jacket or this hat or these sunglasses or this whatever the accessory is, or it could have been the car. No, I'll test this color. No, I'll test these wheels. No, I'll test. You were always testing and experimenting to kind of optimize what's the thing, the combination that made you look your best. That's it. That's the same thing with a business. I mean, it's a little more scientific and it takes a little bit more time and, but in essence, I said this just to let everybody know we've all experimented and we've all like gone through the trial and error process. We know how to do this. We just need to remember it and do the same thing now with our experiments, our guesses. So how do you test a hypothesis? So you start with a question and your focus is on research and active listening. Whatever you do, you do not start with, I am working on this concept. You do not start there. You will bias the research. You will plant seeds. They will tell you what they think you want to hear. That's not where you want to start. It comes way later. And so this one is like, kind of like, which diet program is the most effective? So you have to be open to like, yeah, there is one that's really kind of kick butt, but then what's number two? And what's the weak link of that number two program, right? And then you're going to develop an experiment to answer that question. You're going to figure out, okay, I want to know the most popular ones. So let's say it's keto, it's Weight Watchers, it's Nutrisystem and Noom. And so I'm going to focus the audience or whoever I'm talking to around those. Remember, I haven't mentioned precise portions. I haven't mentioned Porsche. I haven't mentioned anything. I'm just actively listening. What do they have to tell me? And I don't mention it. Trust me, we've been doing a ton of research since last year. And to this day, we have yet to mention Porsche. We haven't shared Porsche with any of our research respondents, Zippo. We haven't shared a thing yet. And so you start getting the data, you build a hypothesis, and then you just keep testing. You're looking for patterns, right? So as I mentioned, Kisi may not be a pattern. Kisi was just to help me teach you about how like significant this kind of research could be. But Kisi may not be the pattern. But I could assume that she's a pattern and I could start with that as a working hypothesis. And then I might find that I'm wrong or I'm right. And then you just keep testing. And again, we have not even started talking about your most loved solution. I know most of us, we're not working on anything we don't love, but you've just got to park it. You just got to park it. It's just not important right now. Okay. So that's it. That's all I've got. Do we have some time for questions? Last questions?
We have
Okay,
3
everyone
minutes.
is informed. Everyone's gonna go do research. Okay.
Yep, we have about 3 minutes left. If anyone does have a question, go ahead and post it in the chat, along with your email address. I'll just take this time to go ahead and thank Mrs. Stevens for taking her time to present this important information.
Anne-Marie, please.
I'm
I am
sorry,
an Anne-Marie
I'm so
persona.
used to
I
it.
am not
Anne-Marie.
Mrs. Stevens. I am not Mrs. Stevens.
I'm sorry, I'm so used to it. Anne-Marie.
Active listening, Tiffany. Active listening. Active listening, Tiffany.
I know. I'm sorry. Actually, we do have a question from Akosia. How do you make this process not feel so academic?
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like the rigor is, it's like a methodology, right? It's kind of like studying for your driving test. It's like you have to learn, you have to gain confidence behind the wheel. Then you have to, like, you know, be able to go out on the road with another car. Then you have to learn how to reverse. Then you have to learn how to parallel park. Then you actually do have to go through those steps to get your license to, I mean, we can't have you start learning to parallel park before you understand how to reverse. We can't. So I think it just has to be, it has to be disciplined, and it just has to, it's a process. And when we jump over, we have to go back. We end up having to start over, unfortunately. So I think if you love the space you're in, then it may not feel so academic. It's energizing, actually. But the process, you can't skip steps. I don't know. Any other opinions on that?
You're on mute, Jackie.
I do. I appreciate this kind of pedagogical approach to innovation because it sits well with me as a higher education professional, administration professional, and somebody who just loves education. But one way to make it real is in that prototyping phase, by getting actual feedback and going out does help to make you feel more grounded in the human impact of your innovation and of your work. So for me, I would say the more that you go out and iterate and prototype on your idea with actual users or customers, or people who could potentially be in your customer demographic and market, that makes it real, and it brings life in a certain way that can really help you feel more grounded. Because I know innovation and entrepreneurship side, it's a lot of feels, and we don't go into measuring outcomes like we should in program and business design. But the more that you prototype and get feedback, it really does give legs in doing that assessment piece. Assessment is important. Data is important for making your innovation the most impactful, because you all have a bigger goal and bigger impact that you're trying to make with your work. You just
that's really fantastic. And that's great. And so you see, that's the whole like active listening thing, because I implied, or I thought I implied, you're going out to talk to people, but I didn't say that. And so I'm really thrilled that you've added that, because that is how it becomes real. I totally agree. Yeah.
All right, it is 11 o'clock. So let's try this again, Anne-Marie. We would like to thank you, Tiffany. You're welcome for taking the time to present this very important information to us. If you would like to contact her, I've placed her email address in the chat box, as well as the links to contact the Innovation Center. This presentation will be available on our YouTube channel. That information is in the chat box as well on Friday. Again, I want to thank you all for coming today, and we hope to see you at our next event, which will take place on May 12th at 10 a.m. So one more time, I thank you all for attending, and I hope everyone has a great day.
And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about something that I love, and I am honored that you invited me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.